Hello. Today is Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. Here is your daily signal. According to Business Insider, gas prices are approaching $4 after yet another surge in oil markets, as the United States resumed strikes against Iran following the breakdown of diplomatic negotiations. Oil prices have experienced significant surges throughout 2024, largely shaped by escalating tensions between Iran and the United States. Previous confrontations in the Strait of Hormuz, which handles about 20% of the world's oil transit, have repeatedly thrown global energy markets into uncertainty. Brent crude futures jumped 3% to $89.50 per barrel on July 23, 2026, after Iranian military drills were reported in the Strait of Hormuz, and U.S. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm warned that these ongoing Iran-U.S. tensions could disrupt LNG shipments in the Gulf. In the near term, consumers should brace for higher gasoline and natural gas prices as fears of supply interruptions mount. Medium-term consequences could include an uptick in investment for alternative energy sources and a push for European gas diversification, while Asian economies like China and India, heavily dependent on Gulf oil, may scramble to secure new reserves or supply agreements. Instability in the Gulf region also increases risks for major energy companies operating or sourcing from the Middle East. The Associated Press reports that banks in the Israeli-occupied West Bank are facing a unique crisis: too much cash, with Israel further tightening acceptance limits for Palestinian bank deposits and creating severe liquidity pressures. The West Bank operates under strict financial restrictions imposed by Israel, with local Palestinian banks dependent on cash flows in Israeli shekels, subject to expanding scrutiny and cross-border transaction controls, all part of Israel's efforts to combat money laundering and enforce security policies. On July 23, 2026, Al Jazeera revealed that new Israeli cuts to cash transfer quotas have created a liquidity crunch, disrupting public sector salary payments, while Reuters confirmed warnings from the Palestinian Monetary Authority of imminent insolvency risks impacting several local banks due to ongoing restrictions on shekel transfers. In the near term, these limitations mean delays for both salary and vendor payments throughout the West Bank. Longer term, public trust in local banks could erode, raising the risks of bank insolvencies and a surge in unregulated financial activities. Economic instability and the spread of social and political unrest remain looming dangers. Should the crisis continue, Palestinian institutions may also face greater financial isolation as foreign banking ties erode. Next Big Future explores whether computation is at the core of reality, probing if the universe itself is fundamentally digital, as debated in modern physical theory. The digital physics hypothesis posits that our universe operates as a vast computation with discrete information at its base, an idea pioneered by Comrade Seuss in 1969, and invigorated by Nick Bostrom's widely discussed simulation argument in 2003. Even though no major breakthroughs were reported over the past day, the ongoing debate remains relevant. Physicists like Stephen Wolfram and Seth Lloyd, along with leading research centers such as the Perimeter Institute and MIT, continue to explore whether nature is best understood as digital or analog, especially in an age where tech giants like IBM and Google drive investment in quantum computing. If evidence eventually shows the universe to be fundamentally digital, it could reshape how we define quantum mechanics and cosmology, spark innovative computing algorithms for simulating nature's complexity, and have broad ramifications for artificial intelligence, encryption, and information theory. Beyond science, settling this question would pose deep philosophical and ethical puzzles that could alter our view of reality itself. Now, onto the markets. International markets were broadly lower, with German stocks ETFs EWG and EWD slipping and EWQ tracking. France also in the red. Among major losers, Italy's EWI saw a notable day-over-day drop of nearly 2.2%. China's FXI bucked the trend, edging up slightly and marking the region's best month-over-month performance, while Japan's EWJ continued its decline. Commodities saw contrasting moves. Gold GLD and silver SLV both dropped sharply, with GLD down about 2% on the day, but U.S. oil USO surged over 5.9% and enjoyed a strong monthly gain. Agriculture ETFs DBA and corn were almost flat for the day, though corn jumped over 9% month-over-month and copper CPR weakened by about 2.5%. Among favorites, Oracle led declines with a 4.6% drop, and Amazon slipped nearly 4.6%, while Axon managed a very slight daily gain, and Nvidia fell 1.6%. Microsoft MSFT declined more than 2% but held a modest monthly advance. In sectors, the S&P 500 SPY closed lower by 1.2%, with finance XLF and semiconductor stocks both retreating, though aerospace ITA gained over 3%. Healthcare Roman 45 was up about 1.3%, marking the sector's best month-over-month momentum, while agriculture MOO ended lower despite the strongest monthly sector gain. Today's top gainer was FGI Industries FGIWA, up an astonishing 1,816%, while China SXT Pharmaceuticals SXTC led the losers, plunging over 83%. That's it for today. You can find more news and details on our website. Goodbye.